According to recent data, 70% of businesses completely shut down in the first 5 years. And it's not necessarily because their ideas sucked. A lot of them were probably pretty good on paper, but the real problem comes in scaling. These businesses tank because most entrepreneurs don't know how to scale. I've personally seen CEOs burning through cash on fancy offices even before they have a solid scaling plan in place. Within a year or two, their banks are dry and they're selling equity just to survive. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the exact steps to scale your business the right way. And in my experience, it really all boils down to the math of it. Scaling a business is more about numbers and less about countless needless meetings that could have been an email. If you don't know your numbers like the back of your hand, you'll start dumping money into ads way faster than you can ever make sales. And then before you know it, you're broke. I actually learned this lesson the hard way back in 2019. My ads were working, sales were coming in, but I was spending way too fast because I didn't crack my numbers properly. More specifically, I didn't understand cash flow. So even though the ads were profitable, the time to access the cash was longer than the time to spend it, therefore it was unsustainable. Now, I'm gonna talk more about cash flow in just a moment, but trust me, if you don't get this part right, it doesn't matter how lucrative your business is, you will run out of money. Here's what I tracked to always know the math of my business. CAC, or customer acquisition cost. Basically how much it costs to get one paying customer. If your CAC is too high and your margins are too low, you're gonna lose money on every sale, and that's not a great way to stay in business. The next is LTV, or lifetime value of a customer. So for example, if you make 50 bucks from a customer, but it costs you $100 to get them, you're in trouble because you're spending 2 times as much as they're worth. But if that same customer spends $500 over their lifetime, now your business starts making sense, assuming that you can afford to front that money to lose it on the front end. But more on that in a minute. Break-even point. This next point is very important because almost every business fails here. Break-even point is exactly how much you need to make just to cover your costs. If you don't know this number, you're gonna be flying blind, thinking you're making money when your growth is mediocre at best. And then, of course, cash flow. After breaking even, you still need to have some cash flow. Profit on paper means nothing if there's no cash in your account. You need active cash for supplies, rent, marketing, basically everything. And let me quickly remind you that businesses don't die because they're unprofitable. They die because they run out of money. So my advice is always know these numbers like you know your name. Then once you know your numbers, the next step to scaling your business is to raise your prices. Yeah, you heard me right, raise your prices. This is where most business owners panic. If I raise my prices, I'll scare off customers. And you know what? That's true. You probably will scare off some customers. But here's the good news. It will scare off the wrong customers. Let me break this down. Would you rather have 10 customers paying you $1,000 each or 100 customers paying you $100 each? Both ways you make $10,000, but one takes less time, less effort, and less resources to manage. And when you charge higher prices, you need fewer customers to hit your revenue goals. This means spending less on ads, outreach, sales efforts, everything. So instead of chasing down 100 low-ticket buyers, you only need a handful of high-value clients. One thing I actually learned from increasing prices is that it completely removed all my stress. Okay, all right, not all my stress, but a lot of it. I mean, I wasn't constantly chasing after low-paying customers, my team wasn't getting stretched thin, and I wasn't losing my mind. So when you charge more, you can easily streamline your business and focus more on the quality of your product rather than having to get it done as simply as possible to serve so many people. And surprisingly, high-ticket customers are actually not that demanding in most cases. They don't ask for discounts and they trust your process. But what really convinced me to increase my prices was the free marketing. So let's say you deliver a really good project or service or something to a really wealthy client. What they're gonna do is talk about it in their circle and get you more projects from people who can both afford it and will appreciate your efforts. So I'm all in for raising your prices, and I don't consider it greedy because you're working smarter and making sure you don't burn out even before your business takes off. So once you set a premium price for your product, you need to really tap into your target audience. And here's how you do it. Now, you've probably heard the phrase, the riches are in the niches, or the riches are in the niches. If you pronounce that right, it doesn't work. Anyway, while that's true in some cases, it can also limit your business. Like if your target audience is too narrow, you're straight up leaving money on the table. I'm like not even kidding. Let's use this example. Say you're a fitness coach for overweight CEOs in their 40s. That's pretty common for them to be overweight, unfortunately. That's a solid niche, but what about new moms trying to lose baby weight? Or brides prepping for their wedding? Or busy professionals who just want to stay in shape? The product is going to be the same. It's going to be eat less and move more, but the messaging is going to be different. That's the key to scaling. You just need to position your offer in different ways for different people. So let me quickly break it down for you. Instead of building new products from scratch, you just simply repackage your existing offer. A fitness program for CEOs can also be marketed as a wedding shred for brides. The core product stays the same, but the messaging speaks to a whole new audience. I've personally done this with Legiit. In a future video, I'm going to tell you about a lead magnet funnel that we have that was crushing it for one audience. So instead of reinventing the wheel, what we did was we ran that exact same funnel to a different audience with minor tweaks, and it worked just as well. So it ended up doubling the amount of new customers we got with just a small churn. So try this and wait a little while, and guess what? You have just 2x or 3x your potential revenue with minimal extra effort. Expanding your audience is a huge part of scaling, but most people can't really handle the actual scaling part. And now I'm going to tell you why. It's because scaling means more money, more customers, and again, more money. But here's the thing. Scaling also brings in more problems than you could ever possibly imagine. In fact, you're scaling fast enough when things start breaking because you have too much business. Orders get delayed, customer service gets overwhelmed, and your systems start falling apart. But trust me, you'll never be fully ready to scale. So if you think you're good to go, you are good to go. I just want to give you a little heads up though. The problems you think you'll face won't be the problems that you actually face. You might expect supply chain issues, but instead your biggest headache turns out to be hiring. You might prepare for high ad costs, but suddenly it's customer retention that's killing you. Whatever you think it's going to be something different. And to avoid these issues, you need to have systems in place before you start scaling. So if you're manually tracking your orders, set up an automation, hire new people to manage the workload, and outsource customer support. I'm letting you in on a little secret here, and that's that your customers don't care that you suddenly got 10x more orders. They still expect the same level of quality that you've always provided them. So your job is to keep delivering at that same level, but just on a much bigger scale. But what most CEOs struggle with during scaling is hiring people to manage the load, and that's where their ships end up crashing and burning. And according to recent research, it costs a business at least $4,000 to hire just one person. And that's when you find out that you've hired the wrong person for the job and they can't do it and you have to start all over. Yeah, that doesn't feel very good when that happens. So you really need to amp up your hiring because these employees will be the ones that are actually scaling your business. So let's say, for example, you hire an average salesperson at $50,000 a year, just for numbers' sake. And they're decent. They close a few deals here and there, but they're not really knocking it out of the park, not doing anything out of this world. If you would stretch your budget just a little bit and hire a top performing salesperson for that same role for, say, $75,000 a year, the difference could be massive. That top performer could close 3 times as many deals, bring in bigger clients, and execute at a much higher level than that cheaper hire. So at first it might seem like you're spending more, but in reality, you're saving money because they generate way more revenue. And it's not just about sales. If your marketing hire is mediocre, your ad spend will be a disaster. If your operations manager is clueless, your systems will be a mess. If your customer support team is ineffective or rude or whatever else, you're gonna lose all your customers. So don't be cheap on hiring people who actually deserve to be paid well. As a rule of thumb, check their past results, and if they've helped scale any business, see if they're suitable for your company culture. And that's pretty much it. That's all it really takes to hire good people. These are the people who will bring in better customers, grow your business, and maintain your automated processes. Do all these steps right, and you'll be scaling in no time. Trust me, because these simple steps have helped hundreds of businesses scale, including my own SEO agency, Legiit, and other businesses that I'm involved in. And if you're still struggling with scaling your business, drop your questions in the comment and I'll be happy to help, because your question might help others going through the exact same thing that you are. And if you think this video helped you crack the scaling bit, subscribe and check out more of my videos. There's a lot you're missing out on.